is going to be the next goal in the coming times?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody without land. Because now America has 1 million homeless people.
Right.
You bet in 20, 30 years, they're going to be triple the number.
Right.
And most of them, 90%, are going to be African Americans.
Or blacks, yeah.
If you see a poor man in Africa, according to the statistics of the World Bank and IMF, this poor man, they say he is poor because he cannot be able to spend $1 a day.
Mm-hmm.
But this poor man is in my village.
Mm-hmm.
He has, at least he has his 10 acres of land.
Mm-hmm.
He has his vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
He has his banana plantation.
Mm-hmm.
The kids go to the public school.
Mm-hmm.
He has his home.
Mm-hmm.
What else does a human being need?
Mm-hmm.
But the poor man in the US is homeless.
Hi guys, welcome to Kenganda. My name is Janita Maya and this is the Repart podcast. I'll let my co-hosts introduce themselves.
What's up, everybody? Master Gabs, back in the building. Happy to
Okay.
be here, man.
Happy to have you here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sheru Rampora.
Mm.
It's a pleasure being here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Mpora, just tell the people what you do.
Well, I am a businessman. I have an IT company. Thank you very much.
Okay. Lovely.
And he's a lot more smarter than me. So we're going to find this out. He's a powerful brother. I met him about 2 years ago. And we've been trying to get him on to the podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the role of the diaspora in developing Africa. And I asked you what we're going to be talking about. You gave me a few things. And why is this important as a topic today?
Yeah, it's important because there's so many opportunities on the African continent that are unfortunately are being taken advantage by people who don't have good interest for African people. And it's time we had our family come together and we see that these opportunities are taken advantage by our people who would probably have good interests. Probably. You never know.
Right.
People change when they get money.
Oh, preach.
So we hope that when our family or our diaspora community comes and joins us and bring their expertise, we can probably do much together and develop our continent.
Mm-hmm.
But the most important thing is that Africa, I think right now, is the only continent with so much land
Mm-hmm.
that is, and land is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it really pains me when I see America right now has 1 million homeless people,
Mm-hmm.
according to the statistics on there. And of course, the majority of those are African American people.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand it's very difficult to start in a new land and you go somewhere else, in a foreign land and start because the cultures are different, everything is different. But life is about pain. You have to go through pain to make sure you achieve whatever you want to achieve. So those who are not willing to put in some work and effort and research and dedication, you don't have to waste your time.
Mm-hmm.
You can settle for what is available by the government for the welfare. But those who are willing to face challenges,
Mm-hmm.
this is the best place to be, I think. Yes.
Why is this the best place to be?
Well, I'll tell you what. Right now, you've been in Uganda for a while.
Yes.
And you have seen how many Indians and white investors come here and the Arabs.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you, when you see these people going somewhere, there's something.
Right.
Now, you see our food here.
Mm-hmm.
There's no place on earth with fresh food, non-chemical food
Mm-hmm.
like Uganda.
Right.
I think Uganda, Tanzania, Congo, because these are tropical countries.
Mm-hmm.
What surprises me is that we have the food here. It's very cheap. But our people in the US are suffering from cardiac arrest because of eating bad food.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we had a group of brothers or sisters and they join together and they get the food from here?
Mm-hmm.
Because we take this food now to the Germans.
Right.
The Germans are the ones buying it.
Right.
The Germans are eating our fresh food, beautiful, cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But our people are dying of cardiac arrest
Mm-hmm.
because of eating Burger King, eating KFC.
Mm-hmm.
But the vegetables are here,
Mhm.
very cheap,
Mm-hmm.
less than $1.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we had a business opportunity that we have to unite? because there's a lot of investment needed for this kind of venture. So what if we had a group of brothers and sisters? We come together and we say we are setting like what Marcus Garvey was thinking of doing,
Right.
and we get the fresh vegetables and we ship them to our people. We say this is the vegetables, so we transact. Now, you asked the question and said, why Africa? As I told you, land is going to be the next goal in the coming times. Anybody without land, because now America has 1 million homeless people.
Right.
You bet in 20, 30 years, they're going to be triple the number.
Right.
And most of them, 90% are going to be African Americans.
Or blacks, yeah.
If you see a poor man in Africa, according to the statistics of the World Bank and IMF, this poor man, they say he is poor because he cannot be able to spend $1 a day. But this poor man is in my village. He has, at least he has his 10 acres of land. He has his vegetables. He has his banana plantation. The kids go to the public school. He has his home. What else does a human being need? But the poor man in the US is homeless. So why wouldn't our family find a way of coming, even if they get 5 acres? I saw Ghana was giving them land, and the governments need to do something to attract, our people from diaspora to come and have land, because capitalism is not going to let go of land. The land is going to be in the hands of a few people. So why don't our people in diaspora first come and have land? And we talk about anything else. We start talking about business and everything, but when you have land, because when you don't have land, you're nobody. You're not a citizen of this planet. You're just there. So the reason why you don't see a lot of crises in Africa with what we go through is we have land. When we had COVID lockdown, you remember, most of the people went to their villages.
Right.
They didn't feel anything. They were just home. I was in China and I saw people sleeping up in the clouds, and I said, "Oh my God, how do people sleep up there?" And some of them were committing suicide.
Whoa.
Jumping from the clouds and falling down and killing themselves, because capitalism is pushing people on the wall. People are saying, no, this is not working. But the rich are saying, hang on. The Jeff Bezos are going into the space. How do you go into space when you can't pay minimum wage? How? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
I have a question about, I like the notion and the idea of being able to get together and create business models that not only are sustainable ventures that can be economically viable here, but provide an improved option.
Right.
Let's use this fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh produce business that you're referring to, right? So you establish the venture.
Right.
I'm sure there's a black billionaire out there that could fund the venture, right? Set up the infrastructure, aggregating, exporting fruits and vegetables to the different port cities in the United States, set up a distribution network. But then it's about educating the people. It's about transfer of information. Yeah. To me, that's always going to be the questionable part, is who's going to lead the conversation, who's going to drive that dialogue and make it about, okay, guys, we know that you're economically challenged and therefore your options to how you're going to feed yourselves and your family have always been leading you toward this unhealthy result.
Right.
However, we've structured a business and we've structured an opportunity for you to access healthier foods sustainably for the same amount of money that you're used to having to spend to feed your family in the unhealthy ways. So who's going to take responsibility for that? Who's going to be the thought leader? Who's going to be the person who galvanizes the community, goes into schools, goes into the general population of African Americans and tells them that this is an important thing that they need to embrace and take hold of? I think the ideas we have are countless and endless, but I'm always going to be a person who's about practical execution, right? You were also mentioning something around the lines of, abundant land and abundance of resources that people in the diaspora would benefit from having access to, right? But again, for me, I want to flip it. And maybe this is a conversation that needs to be developed in multiple layers.
Right.
But I'm wondering about the execution of that, right? Like, where in your mind, having extrapolated this thought, where does your mind go in terms of how do you envision the execution of saying, hey, yes, okay, we've agreed, right? Step one, hurdle one cleared. We've gotten the government to generously volunteer a 30-acre plot of land to pilot a project where we're going to invite disenfranchised and economically challenged people from the diaspora to come back here and try and establish a new way of life based upon the local norms and the local cultures and traditions that allow what we would commonly consider a poor man in the African context to live sustainably
Right.
for the long term.
Right.
So again, I like the theoretical approach. I
Right.
like it, but like I'm just keen to know, like, from your mind, like how do you see the viability of an execution?
Let me just say this. I think also what Brother Pro was saying, this was just like an example.
Yeah.
It wasn't, this was the idea. This was just an example that you were using in general. Is that what it was?
Yeah. It was an example. Yes.
In general. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's very important what you brought up. But in life, what I have learned is that everything starts with imagination.
Agree.
You have first imagine it. Everything you see, these buildings, someone first imagined it and said, what if I have this? Even the people like Albert Einstein, they just imagine things, and now we're using the technology, their imaginations to. So we start by imagining. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. Difficult. Should we, because I believe that there must be a sacrifice to everything for us to achieve something. First, we must identify the challenge. Is that of the most poorest people in America right now are our people. The poor people we have in Africa, if we look at the standard of humanity, they're actually not poor. But sustainability is important. But for me, from the life I've seen, maybe it's my perception, before we talk about anything, I must have somewhere to sleep,
Right.
shelter, and I must have food.
Yes.
Then we can talk about anything else. You can talk about going to space. But when I don't have those two things,
Right.
where to put my kids to sleep, and I'm happy that most African Americans are coming to Ghana, West Africa.
Right.
Most of them getting land.
Yeah.
There's a sister I know who is helping a lot of people to come and get land. Let's have land before we talk about anything. Because when you don't have land, you're worried. I mean, imagine you're there and you don't have anywhere to call home. I know, Joanita, you can't imagine that.
No.
It's wake up and you say, I don't have anywhere to call home. And this is not 10 people. This is not 100 people. This is 1 million people. So this is dangerous. You don't have land. And what surprises me is that these economists go on TV and read statistics and read budgets. People don't have a home.
Right.
I mean, people don't have anywhere to sleep. They have kids, they have families. And even in a trailer park, you're not supposed even to be in a trailer. You're supposed to have a home.
Right.
Even if it's a grass-thatched house, but this is your land, this is where you sleep.
Yeah.
There are things that God gave us, or nature gave us, as we were created. One of them is land and food. And I think the mistake that capitalism did, I'm not an economist, but which I think was to let us gamble with these two. And between, I don't think we will live long to see this, but I know there's going to be a global, if we continue with this trend, there's going to be a global revolution where people are going to say, no. You saw the riots that are going on right now in France. These people just need something small, just small, because people are depressed. I mean, you don't have a home. Here, if I'm really perturbed, I go to my village home and I spend weeks and everything's gone. Even now, if I decide I don't want to work anymore, I don't want to go to office anymore, I go to my village. You go to your village. The poor African American has no choice but to commit suicide. So if the government is giving welfare and it can't sustain him, he's going to kill himself. But if you have land, you have your vegetables, and you have where to sleep, that's the first. Before we talk about business, let's not talk about business. But where are you? Where do you sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Are your babies sleeping well? Okay.
Right. Okay.
Perfect. So let's talk about business.
Yeah.
Can I sell you chicken?
Yeah.
Please.
Speaking of land, now Ghana did give out free land. I personally am against giving out free land
Yes.
as a country in
Yes.
Uganda because
Yes.
I feel like start with the locals if you're giving out free land at most.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
to me, diaspora people are rich. You have money, so you can afford to buy the land. In my
Uh-oh.
opinion.
Look at the comments.
In my opinion, you can afford to buy
Yeah.
land. Trust me, the areas that are really cheap, you can afford to buy land if you're in the diaspora because your earning capacity there is not the same as the earning capacity
Right.
of a local Ugandan.
Right.
But Mr. Mpora, what are some of the ways the government can incentivize like the diaspora to come back? You spoke about that.
Well, governments, see the problem with our African governments,
Mm-hmm.
they're still young. Our countries are still young. We have been independent for most of them 50 years, 60 years.
Yes.
And when I see the public, tearing up leadership, of course, the leadership is also lacking, but these countries are still young. Now, you see countries like America, countries like Britain that have been there for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Free labor, free raw materials. They had slaves.
Yes.
They still have challenges.
Right.
Now, we have been independent for 50 years now, 60 years, most of them.
Yeah.
So we still have
challenges.
a lot to
A lot,
learn. It's,
yeah.
it's a learning process.
Mhm.
But I think the governments, first of all, need to make sure that the movement of people,
Mm-hmm.
our people, the interaction
Mm-hmm.
is made easier
Mm-hmm.
so we can trade.
Mm-hmm.
The vegetable example I was talking about. But actually, before I finish that, Mr. Gaba asked something. He said about the vegetable, doing the business. He said, whom do you think would take the leadership? That was your question?
Yes. Yes. Great question.
Now, as I said, when we first imagine this thing and we understand that this is where we first identify the challenge,
Yes.
then we got how do we solve the challenge?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the farmers in Africa don't have money to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the US, they're eating junk food.
Oh, okay.
So, who can get the vegetables? Now we're taking them to Germany.
Yeah.
We are shipping, if you go to the airport, they are taking avocados, they are taking chicken, everything to Germany.
To Germany.
To
Okay.
Germany, to the UK, to the EU,
Even Dubai.
even China.
Yeah.
So we are giving people who are rich good food,
Yes.
but our people are dying because of bad food.
Right.
And actually in America, it goes there. Now we need to find, we as the businessmen who are in business,
Mm-hmm.
how can we, if the food is going to Germany, if the food is going to China, how can we get it to the US?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the challenge comes, the government of the US, if it sees that you're targeting the community of African people,
Mm-hmm.
it will say, no, we don't allow this trade. But this is a challenge we have to face as a people and find, we have to think. We have the brains.
Mm-hmm.
The brains are for thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We have to think. Our ancestors taught and fought and got rid of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most, for 400 years, fighting. Well, I think we can think and find a solution to this.
Yeah.
So my thinking is we need to start thinking as people.
Right.
People who understand the challenges that our people face.
Yes.
Now, when you see what the governments can do, I think the governments don't do much. We are the governments.
Yes.
Me and you. We have to think and then force the government. We say, this is what you should do. Yes.
Okay. Let me just say this, and I'm glad that I just can't wait for the education topic that you have.
Yeah.
And Brother Agaba has some good rebuttals. And obviously, we're all on the front line of this thinking of how it can be solved. And all of these are ideas. But I just want to say the role of the diaspora in developing Africa. I used to think that Africa didn't need in fact, one of my most popular videos on the channel is like, Africa doesn't even need us.
Yeah.
The longer that I have stayed here, I have a difference of an opinion. The diaspora in Africa needs each other for some level of development. This is what I'm seeing. I think this podcast is a really good example of it. I think if we didn't ever have an iteration of this podcast, I don't think I could have been able to get Agaba wouldn't have wanted to participate,
Right.
or maybe you wouldn't be here today.
No, I wouldn't.
So the fact that this is something that is new and we can try it, it has been successful. It just goes to show you what talent is out there in Africa that we just don't know about. And that is, I think, the diaspora's role in developing Africa And the Africans' role in developing the diaspora is that we're both seeing things on each other's homeland that we have not seen in our own place. For example, when I come to Uganda, it's probably easier for me, no offense, to see what you cannot see in a person. I know when I see that person can swing the bat. You might not see it, but that person might be the new millionaire, and that person might have been relegated to being just working at a restaurant. And when you come to America, you may also see things. That's why Africans are very successful in America.
Right.
You will see things. So these are the things that we need to have, is that when we come here, we're going to have a keen eye that is very fastidious. And also you're going to have a key eye with us. I think the first step is that the communication of both people in one setting, like what if there was a Ugandan African-American Association?
That's a good one.
I mean, just things like that. I think the first step is our people who can talk. Because our people want to be together and they want to talk. And the ideas that you're giving out, I would have never thought about it if you didn't bring it today.
Right.
So that is the first step. Second step is, I think for the governments, when we talk about free land and things like that, and we've seen Ghana, now you see Sierra Leone, I believe they just, their president, what's his name, Julius, he just won.
Yeah, Julius, yes.
He won again. He's done DNA by heritage, so if you can prove it. So he's doing a good thing there. But I think that what happens, as you've said, the private sector is what influences the government. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin didn't wait for the government to say they became, and then government started adopting it. So now these African business people, these African warriors, these people who are solving the issues for Africa, at some point have to be so successful that the government say, okay, look, we got to adopt this. We've seen it with Nigerian Afro beats. We've seen it with Nollywood. I remember with Afro beats 10 years ago, man, you play that, you're a joke. I mean, you're a joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Completely. It's laughable.
Yeah.
If you say DeVito now, I uploaded a video about DeVito the other day.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot of views on my other channel.
Right.
Nobody would give DeVito any respect 10 years ago. But today, Burna Boy can sell out a concert in Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Where Drake would have a problem selling out a concert in Madison Square Garden. Maybe. But to have Burna Boy do it, we know Blueface can't do it. Somebody like Chris Brown can do it, maybe.
Right.
But for sure, DeVito is selling everywhere in London. So what I'm saying is, these black solutions that are starting out from us have impact on the world.
Right.
And once our people start to come together, even in small groups, and start to do it, then the next thing is transparency. The one thing I love about Uganda and Kenya is they have these things called SACCOs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Sakos, yeah.
Yes.
The
Diaspora in developing Africa, one of the problems that we have, and we had an issue with the brother, we don't want to mention his name right now, but we have too many Pan-African scammers.
Yeah. Many of them.
Okay.
I know that.
I'm going to give a shout out to one company right now that is great. Britam.
Oh.
Britam is great. Oh my goodness. It's excellent. They didn't even pay me for this. Umbrella Fund, any fund, Britam, it's awesome. Your money is there. It grows without you trying. Now, they also have side codes in which in the diaspora, we can, let's say if we want to develop a certain community in a village or whatever we want to do, we can put our money there. And then if we feel like something is wrong, we can withdraw it.
There you go.
Like we can withdraw it from the third party. Okay?
That's a good idea.
So the thing also in these big ideas is
That's a good one.
the transparency. Once the money can be pulled together in a transparent way, the land, it can be developed,
Right.
And so we need those solutions from these companies like the Britams or Prudential or what's the other one that's a big insurance company here?
UAP.
Yeah,
Mutual.
UAP Mutual. These companies, Centenary, which is a Ugandan bank,
Yes.
Yeah.
if we can empower these banks that are post-bank here, now, these countries, we know that these companies, these banks, are not going to fuck it up.
Right.
They can't fuck it up.
Of course. Yeah, they can't.
DFCU can't fuck it up.
They can't.
We know they're not going to fuck it up.
Yeah, they can't.
Okay. So with this, our diaspora, and one thing too, I want to say, we forget our, and I know we focus so much on the British blacks and the Caribbean African Americans. What about our Ugandan Americans? We forget our Ugandans, and this is me as a non-Ugandan.
Yes. Yeah.
Who
You are
sends the
Ugandan.
most money?
You're right, Ugandan.
The Ugandan American community and the British community in the diaspora and our brothers in the Uganda and Netherlands, they send more money than the Chinese give Uganda. Yet we have forgotten about them in these discussions. So what are we doing for the people that are from this country that are sending money back every year, and then they're also getting scammed here? So I think that as a diaspora, if we have transparent mechanisms to have development of whatever sector, but people say, I don't like what I can pull my money out, and they can do it like we pull it out of Britain, then we will have transparency managing what we can do. Because the money is out there to develop us. I don't worry about money when it comes to diaspora. This podcast, as far as it being great, watch everybody out every month. We don't worry about money here. Our people can support what we do in every sector in the world. Our people have the money to do anything we want. I talk to a guy all the time. So we don't worry about money when it comes to the Black world. Look at Earn Your Leisure. Our people have money. But do we have transparency? Once we have transparency, we will get the development. Because every country you have mentioned that's on the top of the world has some level of, even though they're crooked, but it's transparency. Yeah. So if we can develop the transparency factor where our people can trust the mechanism that they're going to get scammed, watch Uganda just start going crazy with development and things like that. But we cannot do those things without a level of transparency. Now, as far as it comes to some of these poor African Americans or people coming to Africa and the land, that is an idea, and I do believe that. But first, I think that also, what are they going to be experiencing here every day? Because Go ahead.
So the question is about Africans and the diasporans contributing to the growth of Africa, the development of Africa, right?
Yes.
Right.
So the reason I asked the question earlier, first of all, wasn't necessarily to put you on the spot to come up with an immediate answer, but it was more so, first of all, how many hundreds of thousands of views is this video going to get, right? How many people can be inspired to answer that question or can be sparked to come up with a solution? Yeah. And spark the debate and the discussion in the comments. Oh, yeah. Right? So that's part of the reasoning for why I wanted to answer that question, because I also want to spark the viewers to think about, if you were in a situation to contribute something toward solving a problem like these, what would you do? Exactly. Right? I think, but agreeing with what you just said, O'Shea, I think transparency is a big thing. Right. That's right. At first, it really needs to start with an alignment of values and objectives. Yes. Right? So an individual who has lived in the diaspora for a long time may see Africa as a space of opportunity for a distinct number of things that add value to their life as an individual. Okay. Right? Okay. As opposed to what I may be able to do to impact the general people or the community. Right. And vice versa. Yes. An African individual may look at somebody who's coming from the diaspora or what I might be able to achieve or do in partnership or collaboration with them in a way to benefit myself as opposed to benefiting the larger people. Right. So aligning those values and those objectives comes first as to how are we going to work together. Yes. There's tons of people putting together plans for small business things. Right. But we're talking about moving culture. We're talking about shifting the needle in terms of how this continent grows and develops in a cohesive and harmonious way where the benefit is more widely distributed. Exactly. Right? We don't want to continue to have conversations about the few African nations that have wealth while everybody else is lagging behind or suffering. Yes. But also at the same time, we don't want to overlook the responsibility that we have to, make sure that people in these smaller nations maybe elevate their thinking a little bit as well, to elevate the ambition as to what can be achieved here if we focus our efforts in the right direction. Right. So I think that's number one, the alignment of values and objectives as to how we're going to come together. I think in terms of who needs who, it's mutual. Oh yeah. It's absolutely mutual. I don't care to measure the balance 60-40, 50-50 or whatever, but it is very mutual, and it's well established that it's mutual because the benefit that is created is shared and seen on both sides of the equation. For me, taking this business as an example, what Kenganda has been able to achieve through the determined leadership of O'Shea and his sensibilities is that he came from the US and from having lived in Europe and his wealth of experiences, what he brought here and has contributed to the lives of these brilliant youth who work with him, right? But also at the same time, he wouldn't have been able to achieve what he had these individuals not been made of what they're made of.
That's true.
Right?
Very true.
So he needed them as much as they needed him.
Yes.
He needed them too.
Absolutely.
To restore his faith in
right.
the people.
That's right.
Right? He needed to meet people like me. He needed to meet people like you to restore his faith and give him a renewed sense of optimism as to what exponential growth can be achieved going forward.
Right.
So we definitely need each other. I just think it's about the communication,
Yep.
right? The open dialogue.
Yes.
And as we said in a previous topic, let's elevate the conversation. Let's elevate the conversation. We're no longer aiming for small fish,
Yes.
right? We're not fishing with tiny sticks and a twig and a hook with a worm on it. I'm trying to be out there in the ocean, big spear fishing. You know what I mean? Like my ambition is extraordinary.
That's true.
So I also want to align people to that thought that we should have an extraordinary ambition when it comes to this, because Africa is the final frontier.
It is.
Yep.
It is on this planet Earth, Africa is the final frontier in terms of what can be achieved in exponential growth and development. The monumental leaps forward in economic growth and development are all going to be achieved here in Africa. Yeah. So.
Let me just say this to your point. I have so many powerful brothers especially in cities like Philly, Atlanta, Baltimore, especially Philadelphia, where you had Richard Allen and AME Church was discovered there. We have so many people who love Africa, but they're never going to move here.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you don't want to move here. You don't love Africa because you want to move. Some of our strongest pro-blacks, like Dr. Umar, will probably never move here, but they may want to invest here.
That's true.
And we need to also understand the diaspora, some people will want to stay there. And they should not be castigated for that. But they can still visit, or they can still develop. We have a lot of Africans that are in London, especially in UK, like this guy, Alien Skin. He just went to London. He sold out, and a lot of those people are not coming back. But it's an opportunity for the brothers like Palazzo and whoever else, and Patrick Salvador, to go to the Ugandan community in London and perform. And they have business interests here. So we also need to look at our brothers and sisters there who are talented, who are millionaires there, or who are thousandaires there. And they should be able to say, you know what? I want to participate actively on the continent, although I'm not moving back, without fear of castigation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we also want to consider those people too.
It is something that is important. Is that and I'm glad now we keep talking and the picture gets bigger.
Yeah.
So the imagination is getting bigger. But when we talk about diaspora,
Yes.
as I said, we are still young nations.
Yes.
And young nations are still building systems.
Yes.
We're trying to see how can we build systems.
Right.
Right.
Now, diaspora already has been building systems for Europe and America
Yes.
for a long time.
Many years.
They have the expertise.
Yes.
What surprises me is that here we have supervisors in big hotels
Right.
from India.
Oh yeah.
And we have our diaspora people who have this experience.
Yes.
The Indians wouldn't hire us back in India.
Well, okay.
If the tables were to turn.
Oh yes.
They wouldn't hire us as a supervisor. Maybe
Oh.
as janitors or something, or cleaners and something. But so if we had a policy and we said, can we get the expertise? If we can find it here in Africa, can we first see diaspora?
Right.
Do they have the expertise? Can we tap into that?
Yes.
And we have these people coming and be supervisors, teachers. You gave an example of O'Shea, what he's doing here. Now he's bridging the gap between the diaspora and Africa. Now these are things we're saying the role of diaspora.
Right.
You're linking us together. So now
Yes.
the diaspora is understanding us, and we are understanding the diaspora.
Yes.
These are very important discussions we are having.
Yes.
Because everything starts from a discussion.
Right.
True.
So, and it doesn't have to be that everyone has to join in. No.
Right.
Yeah.
African people own planet Earth.
Yes.
And we are the mother of all other races.
Yes.
So we belong anywhere. The
Right.
Caribbean. Everywhere is our home.
Yes.
But where are the biggest opportunities for the
Yes.
future? You know what surprises me is seeing Chinese buying villages,
What?
land where they're staying. I saw one with a gun recently trying to clear his land. And I said,
In Uganda.
Yeah, the Chinese.
What?
Yes. Now, the Europeans, because this is
You're
This
serious?
is heaven.
Yeah.
Human beings always run where there's food, and where there's food. If you tell anyone that there's food here, they will run there. Now, the Chinese and the Europeans and the Arabs, not the Arabs, Chinese and the Europeans, they research so fast because they have advanced research, so they understand where the opportunities are next. So they know Uganda has this.
Yeah.
They know Africa has this. Let's go to Africa. The only thing that is disturbing us, which we need to fight us as Africans, is the instabilities which are keeping people away. Petty wars and small things. These are things that discourage our people from coming here, because now nations in Africa are so fragile that today we are here. Tomorrow you might see it's a war zone. This is something we need to put sustainable leadership in Africa before we talk about bringing in visitors.
Right.
And we can start on a small scale, and we
Yes.
say, how about each of us host someone from the diaspora? We're people who are from here,
Yes.
who are traveled and understand these communities. We say, come, I have a cottage which I don't use in my village. I'll spend there a week. I take you around and you see the place. Maybe you pick
Right.
an interest. If you don't like it, it's okay. Maybe you're meant to be diaspora. It's very okay. But you can still see a different perspective of life. So I believe the diaspora, with the expertise they have, with the technical know-how they have, they are the future for Africa. And if we can come together, we have the resources. They have the technical know-how.
Right.
We just need to bring them together. And it's not about the money.
Right.
The money can come in later.
Yeah, the money is there.
And when you're talking about, the trust and all that, money comes at the last stage.
Yes.
The last stage, the first stage is understanding the problem. If we identify it, then we go at the execution point. Then that's when we see, okay, money is needed here. So how do we control that? But where's the problem? The problem is we have food, we have land. Diaspora doesn't have food, they don't have land. So how can we have a solution?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Gaba.
I'm actually inspired by what you just said. No, me, I'm an entrepreneur, and I like picking small nuggets of a business idea here and there. I like this notion of invite somebody from the diaspora to come and experience what life would be here, but not Kampala living.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
Not Kampala living. I'm talking about come to Kashari, come
Yeah.
wake up in the morning,
Tumbarara.
come to
And
Mbara,
milk the cows.
milk the cows,
It's
walk the
amazing.
farm,
Yeah.
do that thing for like a week and just see and understand what it's all about.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I like that notion of being able to just introduce people to the reality of life is much better. The
Yeah.
opportunity is here.
Yeah.
The air is fresh.
Right.
The mood, just
It's amazing.
every time I have a conversation with one of my friends, like who's a diasporan African, a diasporan Ugandan. When I say a diasporan Ugandan, I'm talking about I have friends who grew up in Europe, lived there their whole lives, and are shook at the notion of coming back to Uganda.
Oh yeah.
Right? US, whatever. Shook. I'm talking about afraid, like their life will crumble and dissolve into
Yeah.
an abyss of unfortunate events if they come back to Uganda. And I'm like, listen, don't even do it like that. Just you come for a vacation, right?
Right.
Come here, but instead of doing all that vacation-y shit that you do,
Yeah.
just come and act like you live here.
Yeah.
Right? Program your life into a routine that you would have if you actually lived here. Spend 3 weeks doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Spend 3 weeks doing that. Spend 3 weeks living life in a simulated environment that you would have here.
Yeah.
And see how it feels. See how you wake up in the morning. See how your energy is. See if your brain has a more optimistic setting that it reaches, because now you see things in a different perspective. Instead, you're here partying, having fun, going to bars and clubs, and you're immersing yourself in enjoyments the whole time. So you see the other side as that's the mundane side of life that doesn't interest me.
Right.
But in reality, that's the stuff. That's the type of stuff that if you experienced it and you lived it,
Yeah.
you would enjoy it so much. You would begin to like find peace and and not only peace, but the inspiration that you see around you elevates your thinking. And so, to your point, you're going to find somebody coming and staying in a little cottage on my farm, in a coffee farm in Kashari, in Ambara. Mark these words.
Why y'all so rich, man?
Count a couple years ahead of time from now. I'll invite you guys to come and check it out.
Let's test it out before you put it out there.
Yes. You're welcome.
No, but these are the things that obviously are, for somebody like me who lives here, I don't have that detail of, and I'm glad you guys are bringing that out. And of course, I've been hosting people as much as I can here in Kampala because I'm not really into the village life yet. Although I have been to one in Mbale. What's it, Mbale?
Mbale and Barara. You've been to two
villages. Yeah.
Come to my village, yo.
Yeah.
Change your mind.
So the thing is that the opportunity, I'm just going to be honest, for what the diaspora can do, and the diaspora can also develop itself as it's also developing Africa. Because some people are going to stay there. Yeah. But the diaspora can at least work together if it's the African American community and have connections here. That's why you see anywhere, like what I like about the Latin American community. If somebody blows up, like what's this guy's name? He's really popular right now. Is Puerto Rican artist.
Bad Bunny.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, Gubs.
Bad Bunny. This guy can go to Puerto Rico. He's linked up everywhere in Latin America.
Yeah.
Colombia. You don't even need to be in America to sell out.
Yeah.
So these are the connections that we need for our people.
Yep.
You know, so when they want to do something, same thing with Burna Boy. Burna Boy can pull up to Johannesburg. He can sell out in Kampala. He's going to sell out in Nairobi.
That's right.
And he's also selling out where? In diaspora. So once we have those things, then we get some, like you said, the optimism is there. Because I had my brother Gabs will tell you when I met him, it was I was very standoffish. I was like, nigga, who are you? For the most part, like, you know, and but then after overcoming that, the brother has really helped me in so many different ways. So Africa has so many great people, and as a Black people, we're so great, and it really changed my mind. You know, in closing, my mother and father educated me because I grew up in a community in Sacramento called Del Paso Heights. I grew up in LA, partly in Compton and Watts, and then Sacramento, Del Paso Heights. And then my parents were always telling me, you need to leave here. This is the community that, you know, people don't become anything. So then you need to go to a predominantly white institution, and then you need to move into the suburbs, and the way you value your success is in corporate America or professional school. So I went to medical school, became a medical doctor.
Oh.
And I went to undergrad. I went to Berkeley for a post-bac. So those were the guidelines. And then after understanding how people really get rich, they typically do it for the most part with their own people. And developing and working with your own community, you understand is how you can really build wealth. And so after going on this journey, I was realizing my mom and them was telling me it was the right thing, but they were telling me to avoid my people. And then at the same time, those people were coming into our community to set up liquor stores, Arabs, just like in Africa. As I was trying to leave and go more white, the Arabs was trying to come in and become more Black. And they were trying to get more Black dollars. And they would sell things like pork rinds that they won't eat. They'll sell it to you, but they won't eat it. And the one thing that the Blacks have to start to teach other Blacks is you have to work with your people to achieve something.
True.
That's the way you do it. If you feel you're going to go to foreign lands and achieve wealth without your own people, you're foolish, because they're not going to let you come. You think you're going to go to Japan and become a millionaire in Japan?
No, you won't.
No, Japanese people love themselves too much to let you do that.
Yeah.
I can for sure tell you in Poland, they're not having it. You're not going to find Indians getting rich in Poland. That's just not how it rocks. If you go to China, you can set up a shop there. Ain't nobody going to buy shit from you for the most part, because they're going to support their people. So now what this conversation is, we have to train our people or retrain them to think about solutions that are Black oriented with the Black mind.
Right.
You must think Black minded things first. How do I help my people? How do I help my group? And when I started thinking about that, because people were telling me, don't go to Uganda. If you go somewhere, go to Ghana.
Yeah.
Don't or go to South Africa.
Yeah.
But then when I started thinking about, well, let me just stay here, and the talent is everywhere in the Black world.
Yeah.
So if we have people thinking about our issues, we don't train our Black youth to think about our issues. They're not incentivized, so they're scared if they think about it, nothing will happen. Let me go outside. But if you come up with solutions for your own communities and countries, that ended up what the Germans did, the Russians, they were wiped out for the most part after the Cold War.
Right.
But Russia came back very soon after that, after losing all of the Soviet Union. But Russia still came back, right? Very quickly. And China, same thing. So when you think about your own people and you put your people first, and we can incentivize that, we will start getting talent. And I think that hopefully as we start to have more of these discussions, I know you have another one about education, is really powerful. Our people will start to trust that they can do business with blacks and it's actually transparent. It actually is legit.
Right.
Then we will get the black-minded youth who see issues that can be solved. Because a lot of black folks know our issues and are afraid to give solutions because they feel like there's no incentivization behind that solution.
Right.
So if I give you this incentive, nothing's gonna change.
Yeah.
So why the fuck am I telling you? Let me take it to Europe and incentivize them.
Yeah.
So once we start to do that in the private sector, we will get like, look at Bigo, for example. This streaming app came from Singapore. In Africa, they give those streamers, like they don't even let the money count in some parts, like Nigeria. But now, if you look at Flutterwave in Nigeria, that was started by a Nigerian. Yeah. Ugandans use Flutterwave system to process payments.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But now the Bigo, which is from Singapore, are discriminating. If you had a live stream app for Africans that would pay them, and Bigo is a $1 billion app. How many jobs does that create? How much will that create? So these are things that we need to be incentivized, but we don't do those things because we don't think with African-minded solutions. We think about leaving the black world, like the black community in America. Shit, I was glad to go get out of there. But now I'm thinking like, I should have been running to there.
Yeah.
Should have been running back to my community.
Yeah.
Or running to Africa.
There you go.
Yeah, and staying where I'm supposed to be. And I think that God put me here.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm having success.
Yeah.
So I deal with the shit where it's at.
Yeah.
And we got to clean our stuff up. That's all I have to say.
That's perfect. I feel like this was the episode. This is the learning episode. So if anyone has anything else to say, you can say it, or we can just move.
You know what? O'Shea tells people, don't email me, don't DM me, WhatsApp me. I'm inviting anybody who has a serious idea that they want to talk about.
To you.
Hit me in my DM, man.
Anybody?
At Master Gabs. If you have a serious idea,
wait, put his picture up there.
If you're trying to build, network, talk about real shit, hit me up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a resource with some brilliant ideas. I have a smart solution oriented way of thinking, and if people really want to make inroads to this space and I can help, why not?
Yeah.
I'll be willing to even do a live stream. People can call in live. We can do it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
So hit me at Master Gabs.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Agaba Tumusime is my government name. You can see
Put the screenshot up there.
See my LinkedIn profile if you need to check my resume. I'm not out here talking shit. I'm about that. So hit me.
You know
And
they bring
shout
all
out to all of the Kenganda fans and followers who show me love in the comments.
Yeah.
Everybody who has followed me on the different platforms that I'm on, I appreciate the love. And let's keep this thing going.
That's really nice. You know, they only take the ideas to maintain. Like, what is maintain telling you guys in the DMs?
Maintain
has all these people sending him messages, business ideas, opportunities, and then the rest of it. Well, for myself, it's like if you see my DMs. Moving on, Mr. Pora. I can't say anything about it.
I agree with you. This was a learning episode where I personally learned some good stuff.
Yeah.
But I know this is not what we were discussing, but my closing remark is about the African family. It's something that I normally I'm passionate about.
Yes.
Is that for our diaspora community and the African community here on the continent, we need to do everything possible to keep our families together.
Yes.
Whatever it takes. And I see so many people saying that I can't stay in a relationship because it's troublesome or what. Our ancestors did everything to make sure, because a family is a society.
Yes.
And that's once we have a disintegrated family, we don't have a society. We're done. We're done. So this is my closing thing. So I'm passionate about that. On Twitter, I'm called Sheru Rampora.
Yeah.
African Brother is my handle. So anyone who can follow me, if you have any question, I'm willing to ask. And I hope God blesses everyone out there.
Yeah.
Can we, I want to, the next time you come on, the education and attack on the black family.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just going to sit back and just say, just not say nothing.
Yeah.
Let you just.
Yeah.
Say something.
I'm very happy to be with these talent Western brothers from the western part of Uganda.
Shari.
You know, these brothers don't think that you come to Africa and all the brothers can't swing the bat. You got a lot of Negroes here that can swing the bat like we can swing it back home. Okay, it's some powerful brothers out here, and I don't know why we think all the powerful brothers is in Nigeria or in Ghana or in South Africa, Kenya. There's some brothers here that got some knowledge, and so we're glad to be in that frontier. And there's one brother that was really giving me the work the other day, Brother Latini, and he had me on the ropes. He had me on the ropes on that socialism topic, but I got to do some reading. But the brother is very powerful. But he had me like almost on the TKO. He was dealing with me. He was. I was down but not out. You know, I had to grab on a little bit. But I wanted to bring him on. We have that conversation about socialism destroying Africa. But some powerful people here in Uganda that really are educated on what's going on. Don't sleep. Do not sleep.
Okay. Thank you for that. If you have any ideas, any business ideas, anything that you like to share with us, you can email us at teamkenganda@gmail.com. Follow us on all our social media pages at Kenganda Nation. Follow the Pan-African Dating Show. We'll see you guys next time.